But it's like I said before, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, but Abraham Lincoln forgot to free the pro wrestlers. So I had to take it upon myself when they screwed me to free the pro wrestlers. And that's what I did when I did 2020. One day, somebody walks into your job and says to you, guess what? You're fired. And you'll never work again because I do not like you. Now, what would you do? When you're sitting there and you've worked as hard as you had and you've given your life and your blood, sweat, and tears and been stabbed and been whatever to this company, just because one asshole doesn't like you, they take your livelihood away from you. So what happens then? What would you do? Would you sit there and take it? Would you be a mouse or would you be a man? Well, I chose to be a man, not the mouse. 2020 had nothing to do with David Schultz. I even told him not to interview David Schultz or they'd get slapped. It's a shame that Tully Blanchard wouldn't put all that up his nose and kill the territory, because the partner, you talk about his partner was Barons. Anybody with the last name Barons sucks. Now, you can't trust him, I'm just telling you. Tully couldn't book his ass. Let's just get that straight. Tully is not a booker. He's not a good brain in the business. He thinks he is, but he's not. I mean, Tully was good in the ring, but it's like Wahoo said. You know, you're so jealous of Ed and Scott Casey because you can't draw. You're not drawing the money, and you're jealous of them. You just don't go stab a guy when he's taking a shower. I think that to me showed maybe why Bruiser Brody beat him up. I didn't have a problem because I was a heel. I worked against the Von Erichs, so I was perfect. Right. You know, if you're a babyface going into Von Erich territory, you're in trouble. The business. So many guys kill our own business. Kayfabe killed our business. Kayfabe was meant for the boys. Kayfabe was meant to keep the boys stupid, and it did for so many years. And now kayfabe is off, and you got the biggest wrestling promoter saying that wrestling entertainment is wrestling entertainment, and I don't hear any of you guys bitching about that because he's paying you, right? Before you so worried about kayfabe. Kayfabe is where the NWA, the No Wrestlers Allowed, was involved, where they kept their thumb on all of us, where we wasn't allowed to speak. It was more of a slave business, and I've already told you about Abraham Lincoln freeing the slaves, so I had to take it upon myself to free the wrestlers, because he didn't free the slave. He didn't free the wrestlers, so I did. And I'm very proud I did. So now the guys can make some money. You asked me as a promoter, but not as a human being. So
how is he as a human being?
He's a piece of shit.
Why is that?
Well, how many sons killed themselves? Not only was he a piece of shit as a human being, but as a father. And he treated wrestlers like second-class citizens. And Kevin's the one that should have been dead out of all of them. He did more drugs than any of them. And David, I was close with David. I knew Kevin and David more. I didn't know, I knew Kerry a little bit, not much. Jody Hamilton, we were riding in the car one time, and Jody Hamilton looks over at him, and he says, you know something, Jaggers? You couldn't tell the truth if you were talking to your mother. Because you're in the ring with me a lot of times. I told you, don't you ever cut me, I hit you with a ball bat. And bottom line is this. If you did that to that kid, you need to be man enough to stand up. And second of all, if that kid really wants to get his blood, he owns a restaurant, you know, in Atlanta. And what the kid should do is just call the Georgia Health Department and saying this guy's serving food, right? And he may have hepatitis C. And unlike you did at FanFest when they ran your fat ass out of the lobby because you're too cheap to buy a damn booth to sell your tickets or whatever the hell you want to sell. I mean, come on, Abby, get real. And you call yourself a WWE Hall of Famer. Quit acting like a jabroni. You act like a jabroni. Jabronis act like that. You're better than that. You guys are getting dumb. You're running out of ideas. You know, it's just funny. I've tried to watch the show, and I can't watch the whole show anymore because it's so bad. Hey, let me tell you something. Just because you think you've been on TV, somebody shouldn't guarantee you $1,000 to come in if you ain't putting asses in the seats. I can tell you that. Bottom line is this. I'm not going to guarantee you $1,000. How many tickets you going to guarantee I sell? Give two crap about you and your marks. Hey, if you're not drawing money, you don't need to be paying that kind of money. Why in the world, after you've stolen millions and millions of dollars, would you not keep your territory running? Vince McMahon can't run your towns every stinking week like you could. You could have kept the NWA going. What happened was you were all too damn greedy. You didn't want to spend the money to have to keep paying. You didn't want to pay the guy. Because Kansas City territory was so stinking bad with payoffs, it wasn't even, it was a joke.
Worse than Memphis?
Close. He told me, he says, Eddie, my boy. He goes, I had nothing to do with what they did to you. I said, that's bullshit. I said, you were behind it. He said, oh, no, I wasn't. He said, Ole Anderson was behind it. You're the worst booker I ever seen. You killed Atlanta, then you brought Robert Fuller in. It was already dead, and then they brought me in, and I got it back up. And then you wanted to come in and take my job. But he did tell that to Ole Anderson. He was coming up the elevator, and he saw Tommy Rich and Jim Barnett in bed. God has got even with Ole, not me. They were supposed to interview Ole Anderson. They weren't supposed to interview Vince McMahon. I wasn't afraid. Afterwards, I got a lot of death threats.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, out of the NWA guys, I got a lot of death threats. Yeah, I didn't expose anything.
Well, the blading and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, come on. Bottom line is, if you don't understand the blading or whatever, that wasn't a big deal. And what does the people say about the guys working in the office of calling Dave Meltzer? Now, who in the hell is Dave Meltzer to be calling anybody? I mean, giving him finishes, and he's exposing the business way before that. I went on television to get the guys more money. Dave Meltzer hadn't made a damn one wrestler $1. Let's be honest. Take out the blading away. Take away the kayfabe, and take the sheet, and let's just look at it for what it really is. Okay? There was a lot of guys giving their bodies to draw a lot of money each and every night across the country and across the world. And 9 times out of 10, they got screwed. This right here was put down, United States District Court for the Southern District of Iowa, United States of America versus National Wrestling Alliance. And that was signed for blackballing wrestlers, and Hulk Hogan ratted him out. Hulk Hogan's about Hulk Hogan. He's going to rat you out. And, you know, if I had to do it over again, the 2020, Rob, here's what I would do. It was something good always comes out of something bad, and it just so happened to be my career that it had to come out of. But that's okay. All right, because the business is not fake. The business is predetermined, but the business is not fake. I've already told you, I don't regret doing the piece. I regret the way it was done. It should have been Ole Anderson. That's the guy. But he was the best at always sending people to somebody else saying, oh, it's not me. I never did anything. Oh, my God. You know, and that's what he did to those guys. He sent them right to Vince. He said, Vince is the one that's doing all that, killing the business, treating the guys that way. It never would happen here. Oh, hell, man, please. He was the factor of the 2020 piece. Is that Eddy Mansfield didn't try to kill the business, nor was I a grumbled ex-professional wrestler. What I did to help the business, and I would do it again. I'd do it just a little bit better, though.